All right, so we are live with Fabian Melendez. Thanks for being here, man.
Good morning, man. No, thank you for having me, man.
Yeah.
Great to see you. Great to see after so many years high school, and
it's been a bit, man.
And here we are, man.
Grown
Doing a podcast.
Yeah, right, man. On lifestyle medicine. So Fabian and I went to high school together. You were there all 4 years at CB, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rock on. And then you got into boxing. Like when? Like how soon after was the...
About 2 years after high school, you know? Like,
okay.
yeah, after
That's
2 years of high school, right? Yeah, because the last intense thing I did was my varsity year of the senior year of high school. And then, you know, those freshman 15, I probably put on those freshmen 20, 25.
Or 30.
Yeah, or 30, dude. Just having a good time working right here at La Esperanza. La Esperanza, worked in the warehouse over there with the Paciencias and Martin, and it was just I could eat and drink whatever I wanted any time, you know. And I ran into my buddy, my childhood friend, best friend since first grade. He'd been boxing since we were 8 years old, and it was just one of those things. I was, man, I want to start working out again. My dad would never let me.
Yeah.
Would never let me box, but he had me in every single sport since I was 5. So I was like, what's the best way to get in shape? The fast way to get in shape, you know, boxing, you know. But I was like, I did not want to get hit, dude. I did not want to get hit. That's not what I wanted to do. I was like, I just want to do the workout.
Yeah.
So we went to go. My friend picked me up. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. Sorry. My friend. I told my friend, I saw him. He says, I'll pick you up tomorrow. Let's go running. Let's go running at Curtis Park, right? Man, I wasn't doing I was doing too many extracurricular activities out there, right? I told him I would go run, but I just got done smoking, you know, with my buddy, and that's why I blew up to 300 pounds, you know. So I'd get the munchies, I eat, and then it didn't work.
Man. And you're a big guy, so it's
yes, sir.
Easy to put on the weight quick, man.
So he picked me up, and we went to go run 3 miles, and I was like, all right, this is the start of the change, you know. And then the next day we went to the gym. And then 4 weeks later, I got my first spar. They were like, "Oh, you want to go into spar?"
Yeah.
I sparred in there with a very experienced person, lighter weight, and I got hit, and I got played. I felt like I was being used. I felt like, no.
Not the best feeling.
Yeah,
right?
not the best feeling. I knew that I could be better at it. So, man, I left with a big old lump on my eye, and that was the beginning of it. That flipped a switch on me. Like, life smacked me in the face, and I was like, it's either you're going to fight or flight. And I showed up to the gym the next day, and they're like, oh, okay, he wants some more. All right on. And the rest is history. Here we are 17 years later.
It's how it happens, right? Like, usually, like, an experience like that will kind of, it'll get a hold of you, right? Mm-hmm. You have something happen, and you're like, all right, so, like, that happened. And I usually, there's a response, like, I'd like to do something different or learn the skill to mitigate what just happened. Well, so prior to you going into the boxing scene, had your family done it? Was there where was there prior interest, or did you just happen to fall into it? I've from the neighborhood I come in, West Sacramento, and specifically Broderick, you know, like there's many fighting families, you know what I mean? Like, you have the Savala families, you got the WBC champion Willie Joran, who took me under his belt and helped me out, you know, and educated me a lot, you know. After I'd gone to a few different gyms, there's, so many just fighters, you know what I mean, from our neighborhood. And it was just one thing that I always knew. And then we would always watch Julio Cesar Chavez, which was my favorite fighter of all time, you know. And watching that guy as a kid was just so inspirational and just so, like, motivating. Just like, wow, like, this is a great fighter. And then when I first met Tony the Tiger Lopez in Sacramento, it was at Sutter's Fort on, I forgot what, maybe Cinco de Mayo weekend. He was doing an autograph signing. I was just a kid. And I was like, that was like my first celebrity I met, and I met Tony the Tiger, and then I would watch him fight. So I'd go to the Arc Arena, watch this greatest fight, you know what I mean, with Rocky Lockridge there. Yeah. I saw him fight Jorge Maramelo Paez, you know what I mean, like it was just like, it was always there. And I'm watching my best friends fight, 8 years old, 9 years old, my neighborhood friends. Right. I want to do that too, you know, but no, we'll just watch boxing. So I always watched boxing as a kid. So Julio Cesar Chavez, Mike Tyson, you know. So it was in there.
Yeah, it was just always in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like exposure.
Fight. Yes.
It's the same way for me, man. I martial arts was like always in the back of my mind because my dad trained it. Mm-hmm. He was big into it, and it's the same kind of thing. I think if you're just around it as a kid, like most things, if your dad's into like tinkering with cars, you're gonna pick it up, or it's gonna be in your, it's gonna be in there to some degree. Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like it was in there from the beginning. And then when did you shift from, like, what was the driving point from, like, I want to train boxing a little bit to potentially, like, actually competing?
Compete as an amateur?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it was. It's just like I started to lose weight. Learning the skill and putting in the work gave me the confidence to be like, okay, a sparring session led up to, to the fights, and I was conquering fears left and right. I was overcoming adversities.
Feels pretty good.
Yes, it does. Like my very first sparring, like my main sparring partner, my first sparring partner was this like 6'5" professional by the name of Dan McGeary. And I mean, if you look that guy, I don't know if he has stuff out there, but man, Dan McGeary, big 6'5" Irish guy,
big dude.
Yes, and professional, and I didn't know any better but just to throw down, and I was hanging in there. So I was like, all right, that's who was getting me ready for my first amateur fight. My first amateur fight, it was in the super heavyweight division. I was 235. I fought a guy that was 5'10", about the same weight, and I beat him in the third. And I stopped him in the third round. It wasn't a knockout, but the amateurs, they call it a stoppage.
Yeah.
But I just remember just throwing and punching my heart out, but not really with no skill. So went back. That was a Saturday. I was back in the gym Monday, like being hungry. It's like, whoa, there's more to this. I don't know what it is, but there's more to this. I know I got to work hard. And then my best friend kind of saw me push a little bit more that day, and he's like, "You want to win, right?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like,
"Yeah."
He's all. And
then you had the bug,
and it just kept going. It got addicting. It got really addicting. So I would always just train and try to be my best, and then I would get fights. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, "Oh, I'm gonna fight this weekend, this weekend, this weekend." It's just because it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of sacrifices being made, and these I don't know, these adversities, these things that you want to get better at, as far as
the challenges,
the challenges, so it's just boxing constantly just kept me driven, kept me going forward, and kept me out of trouble.
Yeah, kept you on track.
Exactly, definitely. And when I wasn't boxing, I wasn't my best. I wasn't living up to my potential. I wasn't doing the things the way I was raised to and taught to. I fell victim, not a victim. I was a product of my environment.
Yeah.
And
not in an empowered position, right?
I was a product of my environmento. You know what I mean? Like Mozzie says that. Shout out to Mozzie.
Yeah.
but I found myself back again through boxing. I was like, you know what? There's something about this boxing that's just constantly keeping me on track and making me my best. I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna keep on going with it. You know, so. I had a lot of good jobs. I used to work at the Grant School District and Human Resources, and there was times, it was like there was times where there'd be certain professionals at the gym at Capital Boxing here on Stockton Boulevard.
Oh wow!
And I'd be like, man, I want to go train during the day, so I'd call in sick. I wouldn't go to work. Also, there's something to that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get paid, but I want to go to the gym to go work out and get punched and go learn some stuff. Like,
physically move your body.
What's wrong with that? So. I don't know what it is. I said, I'm not training to be a world champion, but there's somehow, some way I could get paid off this sport if I work hard enough, if I'm a student of it, if I overcome those things personally. And then the reward of all that hard work is the fight. That's the reward of it.
That's where it culminates, right?
Yeah, you've already won. Once you stepped into that ring and that fight, you've already won.
Because you prepared quite a bit.
Yes, you've already won. So it's just like now the last... the icing on the cake is now testing your skills against your opponent in there and just seeing who has a better skill. It's not necessarily who's the better person. It's who has the better skill, So you're fighting a skill, and that just always just kept me hungrier. But my skills were starting to match up with a lot of like good people, and and
proximity is power, man.
Proximity is power. I like that.
I like that. Yes, it's not mine. Yes. Tony Robbins says that, but I'm like,
power.
When he says that, I'm always like, damn, if you're around people that are better than you, it's just, arguably you're going to get better.
Yes. and it's just like, in this sport, and it's just, it's not for everybody, but but everybody can practice and do the techniques, but the fighting part of it, it's different, but
for sure.
So I definitely had a lot of confidence with all the work that I did, the people that I've been in the ring with,
And man, amateur fights turned into Golden Glove tournaments, just turned into different stuff. And then I had never planned to be a professional boxer. Like, it was a dream.
Right.
But when I started competing there in the Bay Area at Undisputed Boxing Gym with being around Mike Basil, Victor Conti, Nonito Donaire, like all these big names in boxing, I was getting more confident.
Yeah.
I was hanging with a lot of these
natural process, right?
With all these big sparring partners, the Tony Johnson, you have Edwin Rodriguez, you have like just so many people that I've been around. I'm like, I'm doing all this work, I'm around these people. Maybe you should fight a professional fight. That was in my head.
Right.
Now, promoters would come in because a lot of top fighters would come throughout that gym. The promoters come in, the managers and stuff like that, and like, who's this guy? Who's this guy hanging with everybody? Who is this?
Yeah.
Who is this kid? He's got has a skill. Who is he? Like, you ever want to fight pro? Nah, I'm good. It's not what I want to do. And that went on for months. And then my trainer, Mike Basil, he would always say, hey, you should box a little bit, never, no pressure. He was like, you got it, you got it.
But nudging me
just a little bit, he's a great leader, that man, and then Jermaine Duramadine from the UFC, right? Good friend of mine. She was working at the gym, and she'd always encourage me. You're good. You should fight pro when you turn pro. Waters,
right?
And she always says, Jermaine's saying is always like, die with memories, not dreams, and I'm getting inspired by this woman, so
right.
And then all my other friends, kind of not gassing me up, but definitely like, dude, letting me know, like, dude, you have skills, get in there.
Yeah.
So one day I just decided, I told my trainer Mike Basil, hey, tell Herb Stone, rest in peace, Herb Stone, great man, what a great person that guy was to have a man like that help you out in such a dirty business,
mentor, man.
Yes,
good mentor.
And he'd always say, hey, you want to turn, I got you, and Paco Presents, the promoter, was kind of like, oh, you're good, you could do it.
Yeah.
Finally, I said, Baz, tell Herb, tell Paco, let's do this.
I'll jump in, yeah.
And then the rest was history, and then it was just like, oh, this is for real now.
Yeah, you're in the game now.
This is for real. It's a different level from the amateurs to the pro. No headgear, smaller gloves, and every fighter knows from the amateurs to the pro, there's heavy risks involved. Once you step into that ropes, you're putting your life on the line.
Yeah.
God forbid anything happens, but
it's risky.
Protect yourselves at all times.
It's risky, man. That's the nature. That's the nature of the game.
It's the truest test of one person. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely see the character, the heart, the will. And win, lose, or draw in a fight, the crowd wants to see a knockout, right? But as long as two fighters do their best, win, lose, or draw, they're happy. They can live with them giving their best.
Right. Win,
lose, or draw, and that's a
well. You hit on some cool threads because there's a lot there. So some things like I want to go back. So when you're talking about this, like this idea of challenges, right? It's pretty common. I mean, how many times do we see it in athleticism where people will tackle something physically, right? Whether it's a triathlon, whether it's boxing, whether it's martial arts. There's something very real about taking on the challenge, physically challenging your body, struggling, and then getting to some kind of resolution that we all sort of need. And I think a lot of times, like clients I work with, a lot of people are like, oh man, they don't have enough challenge in their life. Like there's just kind of like, I don't want to say that, but it's like a muscle, right? Like it just gets flaccid and their attitude gets kind of flaccid and they just get kind of like blah. And it's like, Jordan Peterson talks about this. He's like, take on responsibility. Like, go take on some challenges. The things that are difficult, like, take them on. They're not, like, something to be avoided. They're actually something that will shape you, that will take you to the next iteration of whatever the hell you're going to be. Yeah. But, jump into the challenge, which is cool because that's pretty much what you're saying is, like, yeah, it was challenging. It was hard. I got schooled a little bit the first time I went in there. I wanted to get better. So there's that. There's, like, a real-time piece there, which I really appreciate. And the thing that you had talked about before we had got on this podcast, when I called you, we were talking about this. You said, you're like, so, because we were talking about people want to like study martial arts. They want to study fighting arts, but a lot of times they don't want to go into professionally, right? They don't want to go into just not in their makeup. They don't want to necessarily like put the risk and get hurt, but they still want to learn the skill. They still want to cultivate the craft. They still want to get good at it. They want to be mildly proficient. So I think that was the cool piece. When we were talking, you had said you were kind of in that mode too. You're like, yeah, I want to teach people the skill and not necessarily be training elite fighters. I want to give people the skills, the training, let them like use it as a tool for self-development. It sounds like.
Exactly. You know,
which is
like,
great.
No, that's exactly it. You know, my because it goes back to that very first sparring session. You know, I mean, I was coached, but I wasn't really coached and prepared enough to hold my own in there. You know what I mean? They saw me as a big, tough person. I was like, that's cool. But show me the skill. Show me the, the what, when, where, whys, and hows of the boxing. So educate me a little bit more. So that's always been my mission, is to anybody that comes to me, try to educate them with as much information that they're able to handle so that they could practice and start moving and flowing in boxing, get that ball rolling. Once they give you the basic, lessons in the beginning, and then from there you learn those basics. And I believe it's Picasso, right? Learn the rules like a pro, break them like artists. Something like I don't know if I'm quoting that right, but I always say that, like, learn the rules like a pro and break them like an artist. And that's boxing. Everybody's different. Our backgrounds, our height, our weight, styles, life experiences. Now you take those beginning lessons, you put them together, and then you start being creative through your shadow boxing. That's where you start developing your own style. You start getting in better shape. Then you apply that to the bag. That turns into something else. You know what I mean? And then you carry that over into some mitt work, and that turns into something else. And then you go into some sparring. And then the last thing is a fight. There's those layers of it, but that's if you want to go do that. That's right? But if not, I'm going to teach you everything from a fighter's perspective. I'm going to coach you up from a carrying position, but also... like Joe Cortez, good referee. I'm fair but firm. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it's. I'm not being a drill sergeant, but I am expecting you to work at the best of your abilities right now, and then from there, kind of push you past that little uncomfortable point. Being comfortable being uncomfortable, and then once you can do that and breathe and relax, then we get to the next step.
Well, and that's reasonable, right? It's like to be. I think we all need that. We all got to be pushed beyond our comfort zone. I mean, no real growth. It's like muscle growth. Nothing happens if it doesn't get uncomfortable, right? There's no actual evolution if we don't push past those things. But that's really good, because I think, like I said, I cannot tell you how many people want to engage this stuff, but they don't want to necessarily get hurt, which I totally get.
Yeah, no, of course.
Like, I mean, that's a legitimate real-time thing. I mean, Joe Rogan talks about this. If you watch his podcast, he did Taekwondo. He trained Taekwondo and was doing full contact, I think, in his late teens and early 20s. And he got tagged in the head a few times and was getting headaches. At like 20. And he was like, I don't think, like, I don't want to be 30 and, like, slurring my words. And it was just a legitimate, he's like, I want to keep my wit. I want to be sharp. I want to be articulate. Like, I don't want to lose that. So he was like, I'm just not going to fully dive into that. But he still continued to train, right? And he still continued to do his things that he was doing. And I think that's the piece that's relevant nowadays, especially because people, I think it's like all or nothing. A lot of people think like if I study boxing, I have to
100%.
Right. They get scared. They're like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to become this thing. So they tune it out. And it's not just boxing; it's other things. I think any like fighting arts in general, there's a stigma. Like, you can't learn this skill without becoming a trained killer.
Right.
You're gonna learn skill. I think it's really relevant. But I think it's like what you're saying, like the fighter's mindset. You're still like distilling that down for the people that you're training.
Yes.
Still giving them that gem.
Yes, exactly that.
So
and then how they could, like, when you would train a boxer or fighter, you're training them so when they apply that in the ring in a fight, right?
Right.
I apply those same lessons and try to make it relatable to the everyday corporate person.
Totally.
How is it going to help you in your business meeting, getting that deal? It's the same type of fight.
It completely applies.
It's the same fight, adversity.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Marines. You adapt and overcome.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it gives you a mindset. That's the biggest shift, I think, with a lot of people when they study. I think people in general, it's true for me. Like, when I was studying fighting arts and we would actually do sparring and we would actually do stuff, I remember I was thinking, like, I'm never going to be an elite fighter. I'm not going into this to, like, it's just not in my makeup. But the attitude mind shift that would happen as a result of just doing those things, it was amazing. That was like the biggest draw. I was like, damn, my attitude is just better when I come out of that space, when I come out of that class. And I think that's the tool, right?
Right.
That's the pivot, like why we should do it in a lot of ways.
And that's exactly it. And I think people like any workout you do, any yoga, meditation, whatever, right?
Yeah.
People go through the motions of stuff every day, work, life, this, that, right? Yep. But when you do things like with intent, with purpose,
yep.
with heart, with passion, with yep. desire, and nothing but 100% focus on that, if it's from like from the smallest task of just holding a push-up position, okay, I'm gonna do this as if I'm hanging off the edge of a cliff and
right.
my life depends on it. You know, I kind of play those games in there with myself to make me focus. You know what I mean? So as long as I think you do things with intent and focus, I was like, you'll find what you're looking for. You know what I mean? And that's anything you do. You know,
for sure.
I think you'll feel a little more happier and satisfied. But if you just go through the motions of it and you don't put anything into it, you're probably not going to get anything out of it.
It's very true. I mean, there has to be a real-time applicable principle that you have to be teaching people. There has to be something to fall back on. So like I teach Tai Chi, right? And I tell people, I'm like always of the mind when I teach people Tai Chi, people are like, well, isn't this like some sacred old ancient fighting art? I'm like, look, was it used for fighting at one point? Yeah. Like, has it been my focus? No. And two, if you really want applicable, like real-time self-defense, you should take boxing or some wrestling or jiu-jitsu or kickboxing. Like learn some basic real-time skills of what would actually go down.
Right.
You know, you're not going to be practicing like a health practice in a fight. You know, it can go both ways. And at the same time, when I'm teaching this stuff to people, I go through my classes and I'll show them the gestures and the postures, and I will talk about how this would be used, like martially. And then I muscle test. You know, I'm like, okay, so hold the posture, and I press on their body, and if you can just immediately tell where they're off balance. So I'm like, so adjust your torso so that if I push on you, there's at least structure. I was like, you're not going to use this in a bar fight.
Right.
Let's not be stupid here.
Right.
This is not what this is, but your body should still have the structure. The thing that's structurally sound is still going to be good for you, regardless of whether you use this martially or not. And I never teach it like that. Like I'm never like, this is like a pristine self-defense system. You should rely on this. I'm like, don't do that. Come to this for health, but also we have to talk about the fighting element a little bit. Yes. Because without that piece there, people's structure is typically weak and they get less out of it.
Yes.
People, I've seen this so many times because I've been in lots of different martial art organizations, and you'll go and train, and I was one of these people. I just want to train, but I don't like violence, so I don't want to touch any of the fighting applications. And my teachers were like,
you're not going to learn anything.
They're like, well, like, okay, but you're going to miss out on quite a bit in terms of, and it took me a few years to get it. I was like, all right. And then I started to see, like I would do a movement and I was like, okay, this feels good in my body. And I think I feel better after doing it. But then I would watch one of the other guys who had studied it and could actually apply it into like a throw. And I was like, damn, that's cool. Like, that's cool. I didn't know that was like on the menu. And two, like their body was more structurally sound than mine. And they were smaller than I was.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, outside of that, just from like the diagnostician clinician point of like analyzing something, I was like, all right, so there's a spectrum here I need to like touch on, you know. And it's the same thing you're talking about, which I appreciate completely, because it's like, if there isn't that little bit of harsh reality, a little bit,
they're not gonna take it serious.
Well, yeah, and you're gonna miss out, and that's the challenge, right? There needs to be a little bit of challenge just so people don't get complacent and bored.
Yes,
because people do.
Yes,
they
get
complacent and bored. They're just
sure.
like, yeah, I've got this, and it's like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
No, you graduated kindergarten. You're like through the first bit. You know,
it's that mind body connection. You know, I mean, just knowing how to, like I said, a lot of people on autopilot, a lot of noise in their lives, right?
Yeah.
To sit there, stay quiet, and now like, okay, identify how to move a certain muscle, how to engage this, okay, how to feel that, how to get more out of a plank. If you can know how to understand how to do a proper plank to get that core engagement, okay, then we can come up and now I can relay, okay, when we do boxing, you squeeze your lats, tuck your abs in. Now from here, step with, you know, whatever it is that person's mechanics require for. But first, everybody needs to know how to engage the core, how to stand, how to properly stand, use those body mechanics so you can maximize your power, your strength, your speed of that kinetic chain, right? If there's any kind of weakness in that kinetic chain, power blows out, instability, it's over, right? So it's first things first, stability. That's first things first.
You're speaking my language, something fierce, because this is so that I have more questions right
now.
Go
for it, man. We're here.
This is good because I can relate 100%. I mean, I think anytime you're using your body, it doesn't really matter what it's for. Like, you have to understand, right, these like building blocks to physical movement. If it's fighting application of any kind, yes, like there's some common threads. But yeah, so like this is what you just said hits home for me so completely. And I'm just relating this to Tai Chi so I can like keep pace with you because it really applies.
Yes.
When I was in China back in 2013, my teacher, who's in Kunming, he's like in China. He's like in his late 50s.
What's Kunming? Is that a city?
Kunming, yeah, it's a city. It's a really nice city in China. Yeah, it's a really cool spot. And when I was there, he said to me, I had a translator. My buddy was translating, but I was like, I want to go back to the West and teach Tai Chi. And he like chuckled and was like, he said something in Chinese, and then apparently what he translated back to me was, he's like, trying to teach Americans Tai Chi is like trying to teach a horse to climb a tree.
Ooh.
And I was like, fuck, well that's fucking pessimistic. And at the same time, but it was funny.
Real, yeah.
And he laughed and he's like, Americans are completely disconnected from their body. He's like, they don't know how to move muscles. They don't know how to like they call it the dantian, the lower abdomen. They don't know how to use their core. Like you said, the kinetic chain, they call it the kinetic wave or whatever, but it's the same type of ideas. And when I started teaching within like 6 months, and I was seeing Americans, you ask a person to move their hand, drop one hand, move the other, and turn their waist and their bodies, and they're frustrated that they can't move their body in what seems like a rudimentary thing. They're baffled that they just can't do it. You know, that there's like a disconnect. You can see it in the mind body. And I think to a lesser degree, it's the same kind of thing you went through, right? You're like, you get kind of hooked. You're like, why can't I do this? Why is this simple activity, like, why can't I move my muscle and lift an arm? Like, what? And people get pissed off. And that pissed off is kind of the catalyst. They get a little bit of a fire under their ass.
Yes.
And they're like, what? Fuck. Like, I want to I want to learn that. And why can't I do this thing? But dude, people not being able to move their bodies, like not being able to tune into different musculature bandwidths, you know, like how to move a lat, how to compress one side, how to like tuck the belly, how to do anything. People get totally disconnected. So when you're working with people and you're working with, like, say the basics, right? The foundational stability. What kind of exercises do you do with them to do that? Is it just movements? Is it jabs? Or how do you teach them to like use their body? It
comes down to a lot of things, you know. Like, I'm literally like, you got to think on your toes, right?
Yeah,
and
same.
So you go off of somebody's body mechanics, their energy that they have, you know what I mean? Like, then like their body mechanics maybe. But I always like teaching boxing and how it's supposed to be taught.
Yeah.
From the floor up.
Yeah.
You got to start with your toes, your hand, your feet, your ankles, your quads, your core.
Yep.
You got to do that first, and then the upper body, and then once you're able to connect from the floor, the core, and your upper body, and now move those together. That's where.
Oh yeah.
Now we're talking. So exercises that we was always start off with is your core, basic planks, how to get rid of that anterior pelvic tilt and find that neutral spine and turn that abs on, and breathing. The first basic thing is breathing, right?
People don't breathe.
No, people with shallow breaths, They
don't breathe, man.
When I first started getting into yoga, I would go do private lessons with my yoga instructor, and I forgot what the technique was called, but basically after the whole. Because I was going through a very stressful time in my life, and I needed to get away. I was always on, talking to people, helping people out. I just needed to get away. Yeah, I needed to get away during the day, and I would go do yoga with my friend, and she would we went through this flow meditation type thing, and it helped me out tremendously. Stretching, just the basic things that I know how to do, but I needed somebody to push me.
Yeah, someone to guide you
at
through.
the end of the session, she says, "Okay, we're gonna finish with these breathing exercises." All right, it's cool, no problem.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there in with my feet crossed. There was other positions that she allowed me to get in so I could do this breathing technique, and I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
But basically, I ended up just sitting with my legs crossed, sitting there with my hands, on my thighs, my knees, and eyes closed. And she asked, I was doing I did 3 sets of 50 deep breaths. I'm talking from my stomach to my chest to my back. Like, 3 sets of 50. She says, okay, if you get, after each set, those last 20 repetitions, you might feel like you're going to feel lightheaded, a little ring. It's okay. You know, we'll get through that.
Yep.
I did all that. By the time I got to the 3rd set, man, I was sweating. It was working. I was just breathing. Right. I was using these muscles that I haven't used before that I only get to use when I push myself, when I exhaust it. Right. You know, right?
Right.
The next day, man, you would have thought I threw like thousands of uppercuts and body shots, you know, for my core, my back. I felt like I got in a fight from sparring, and that's just from breathing. I was like, wow. Give me more of that, you know?
Yeah.
And it just it reminded me back when I made my professional debut, the training that we did, the high altitude training that we did, you know, with the machines, with Victor Conti and the snack team, you know, and Victor Conti and Mike Basil. This high altitude training, you know, so, you know, people put on those oxygen, those masks, those don't work, right? It's just a big tool. It looks cool, but you're going to hurt yourself. These are real machines, real systems that were developed, and we would do sprints, running, biking in a dome. We would hit the bags with this, but that breathing high altitude training, we would train high, rest low to create more red blood cells, to get oxygen going, and you know, that whole system.
Use the science, right?
Man, I felt so alert just from getting more air into my body. And I was like, okay. And then when I would spar and I would do my application and boxing, and I was like, man, I would be able to work at a high rate, keep my heart rate low, recover faster, and my output was just amazing because I could breathe more.
I mean, it sounds so basic.
Right.
But this is like, people miss this all the time. It's like biological efficiency, right? How do you tune the system, your body, just to optimize what it, like, there's a few ways we take in energy, right? Like air, food, water. That's the primary ways, like, right? And our emotions I would say, like, definitely play a role in physiology, but people forget it. Like, breathing is so, I mean, God, I cannot tell you. We're not even doing stressful stuff in class, you know. Tai Chi's relaxed. I'll take people through other exercises, just, you know, same type of thing, man. Stress reduction things, you know, just to get them to chill out. And people, they don't even know how to breathe. Like you said, the shallow breathing, right? They look like a distressed animal almost. Like when I'm like with them, I'm like, if you were in the wild, I would think you were like not well.
Right.
Like you're behaving like it's weird, you know. They're like twitchy almost.
But when I think about that stuff and why people breathe shallow, it goes back to, what do they eat? Yeah. What's their job? What are their stresses? What are they sleeping? What are they doing? You know? Yep. Maybe a lot of people don't know, you know, and that's they don't know, you know what I mean? So, it's not their fault, but it is a responsibility to learn, and people like us to be able to try to help them out, and hopefully that they
talk to them, right?
Yeah, hopefully that they're open enough to receive the message, you know what I mean, for their own benefit. And if not, like my teacher said, hey, if you don't want it, rock on with your bad self, but I would like to help you out, you know. So I think you know, weight, activity or inactivity, all that stuff will play in how you breathe, your posture, how you sit, how you stand.
100%, dude.
But it's I think all the changes, good and bad, and things that happen to us, I think it's how we think.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it begins in the mind, man.
Right, the belief. You know?
Yeah.
So
it starts. If
people don't have that confidence, they don't believe in themselves, their posture's gonna be this.
Oh yeah,
their breaths are gonna be that.
Dude, no, it's a two-way street too. Like I've seen those Tony Robbins. Like I haven't been to his seminars, but I've checked out some of his shit over the years, just listening, YouTubing, and he was talking about. There was this one thing that he was talking about that I thought, holy shit, this is very true. And what he said was, he's like, look, they did this study, right, and it was like they had people stand up with their chest up and look to the sky and smile. So he was like, had them look up and smile, and he's like. And he's like,
that already feels good.
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
just saying that already feels good.
Totally,
doing it, okay?
It feels great. And he's like, So try to hold like really negative thoughts in this body posture with a smile. And so people were like really struggling.
It can't happen.
It was very difficult, right?
It can't happen.
So he said now just like collapse your chest, look down, and just kind of like slump and do that. And he's like, just see where your mind goes. And he said, so look, like it's a two-way street. Like you said, like body posture, you know, you have to posture, because he pointed out some really cool shit. He's like, we're mammals. Every animal in the animal kingdom postures, like every single one. Like tigers will posture to like claim territory. Gorillas will posture to do whatever. He's like, it's not just all about dominance and aggression. It's part of how they like train their physiology. Like you have to, you got to shape your body a certain way if you want to feel a certain way. You can't just slump and slouch all day and breathe with like a collapsed diaphragm and expect to just feel like on top of the world. But it is a key point that people forget. Like I come across it so much. And when I ask people to breathe, they're like, well, I know how to breathe. And I'm like, no, of course you do. You're alive. Like, you're here.
You're doing good.
Yeah, you're alive. True. You have a pulse. But there's also a piece to like learning how to relax a diaphragm, you know, like relaxing muscles while you breathe too. That's another one. You know? It's like people, to get those ideas into people's mind, it's weird nowadays that it's like almost revolutionary, like breathing. Like, fuck, like breathing. Like, and I'm like, yeah, breathing.
but I think it's so hard because there's so much noise in life, chatter, right? Like
it's all mental chatter
from social media, work, whatever, stress. They can't calm that noise to be like,
nope. Well, that's the beauty of what you're doing, which I like the boxing, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think physical. Yeah.
Sorry, no. I don't. Before I want go back to we were saying the points you were saying right before all this.
The breathing, the mind body connection, getting people to actually breathe.
Looking up and down.
Oh, so, yeah.
So, body language, right?
Yeah.
In boxing, when we're tired, you cannot. There's sharks we're there with sharks, right?
Fully.
They smell blood, they see blood, they see this. They're gonna come like, get you, right?
Like sweet, yeah.
So the same thing too. Like I always tell my boxers in training, my clients, everybody, right? When you're tired, do not look down. Look up, breathe, project that, right? Because you have to send yourself those living signals. Because the moment you look down, and you're sending yourself these dying signals, and I always apply that. You know what I mean? So it's going back to what you're saying about Tony Robbins. That's why I was like smiling. I was like, yo, that's what I tell my people. Look up. You know, after even fighters, after they get done throwing down that last round of the fight, it's over. They're tired. They're exhausted. You better walk around like you won that fight. You know, you have to project that confidence no matter what. You know, so posture, body language is huge.
It's so important.
Yes.
Man. Yeah, I've had a number of martial art teachers over the years. Some are like very health oriented. Some are more like fighting oriented. You know, that just, you know, it's like whatever your thing is. And I remember, you know, they said if you're even if you're not a fighter and you're training fighting technique, fighting arts, they're like, you still have to posture your body as if you're a fighter. They're like, keep the weight on your balls of your feet. Like, keep your weight slightly forward. You know, don't be on your heels, heavy, slouched. Like, your body still has to have the attitude of moving forward when you're practicing something, so your body's receptive to actually, like, for one, learn the technique, and two, just to keep your physiology on. Like you said, the living signal, you know? Don't let your body be complacent. Don't let it come down. But I think that's a big piece. I think what happens by default when you get people into their bodies, when you get them, you have them, like you said, start working on what happens with your ankles, your quads, your abdomen. How well can you do a plank? Can you actually activate the muscles in your body just to have rudimentary control over them? Can you just do the basics? And then for a lot of people, that's a life-changing experience sometimes. That's like, wow, holy shit, I'm back in my body. I'm not in my head for once. You know,
I like that.
That's just like they're not thinking anymore because they're forced to like move this thing. And I think that's what happens by default is people start to get out of their head when they start becoming physically active, especially something that requires like I think that's what I like about the fighting arts and stuff that requires fighting technique is that you actually need physical strength and power to do them. So I think the body has to start to move a certain way. And then when people feel that, it feels good, right? The natural strength feels good. Like you're like, oh, my body's actually more resilient than I thought it was. It's a little stronger than I thought it was. That's an eye opener.
Yes.
You're like, shit, I'm not as bad as I thought I was.
Right. In order to like, you know, first you're saying we got to get people to like understand how to move their bodies, how to engage those muscles.
How to move them.
Now now what you're feeling, understanding that,
But don't quit just because you start feeling it. It feels weird. You have to push past that
and cultivate it. Right?
You know what I mean? Like that's like
you got to use it.
Yeah, that's everything. You know. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, not at all. No, I mean, this is a free form flow. I mean, that's why it's good to talk about this stuff, because I think it's like, it is riffing, man. It's like, God, as you say stuff,
I'm thinking
totally. Yeah. That's why I wanted to interview you, was for that reason, because as you're saying something, God, Tai Chi and boxing, and they both share some threads, but they come from very different places, but there's so much commonality in the way you're talking, the way you teach. It's the same thing I'm always telling my people, man. Yeah. It's the same thing with a less fighting derivative, but it's like still the same thing, man. Build from the base up. You know, your leg. I'm like, Tai Chi is from the rib cage down, like from like the diaphragm down is the most important piece. These are like the little flimsy, wafty trees by comparison. Right. You know, those are the limbs. The roots are down below. That shit needs to be strong and get it stable first. You know, and then you can challenge your body to different things. But this is the amazing thing. Like, my mom has been in my class, man, for and my stepdad. They've been in there I've been teaching this class for, this summer will be 4 years.
Wow.
So here in Greenhaven, which is cool. Awesome. Yeah. And I've had I have a lot of consistent students. People come back. My mom has been there since the beginning, and she's told me this repeatedly. Like, I almost want to get her on the podcast just to hear her side of it.
Yeah.
My mom was not a natural, she moves well, she's coordinated, but never a natural athlete. And she wasn't pushed to do athletics. So she always wanted to do more athletic stuff. She did swimming. She's a good dancer. But she always wished she had done more stuff. And then she told me, she's like, you know, I went to your Tai Chi class pretty much just to be a supportive mom. You know, she's like, I was just, okay, Gray's doing Tai Chi. It's not my thing, but I'll go. And then she said, then within 2, 3, 4 classes, she's like, wow, first of all, she's like, I started to really like it for some reason. And she said part of it was I was asked to move my body in a way that I hadn't moved it maybe ever. And then now, fast forward, I'm like, so Mom, what's the takeaway? What's really different? Since I know you're not going to use this for fighting, and I don't even encourage you to. I'm like, if you do, go study boxing or something else. But I'm like, you know, you're not getting into bar fights at all, and that's not what this is for. But what's the takeaway? And she's like, my mind. She's like, my mind is shaped differently. She's like, I respond to stress differently. When things come in, she's like, my attitude towards people is different. So she's like, it was just this really simple mechanism. The way if you change the way your physical body moves, it elicits some kind of change in thought. You know, mind-body connection, quite literally. And I was like, damn, Mom, that's cool to hear someone, you know, my mom's almost 70. And she's sitting here talking about this, the main thing that's different is my mind. She's like, my attitude, my response to life is different. And I thought, man, that alone, just to get that mental shift to where your attitude and your spirit, man. Yeah. It's up. You're not just...
Yeah, speaking of moms, you know, my mom went through the battle of breast cancer last year, you know, and so man. She's always been a very positive, strong woman in my life and in many people's lives.
Yeah.
But also she's been through a lot in her life, you know, so to see all of us go up and down and what life happens to us, and to see where my mom was at before the breast cancer, how she handled it so gracefully and like a champion afterwards, you know, and during it, you know, and now she's always had, I've always wanted, that's why a big reason why I do what I do is for my family and friends to be able to be that inspiration, to try to help them out, that maybe one day they would step in the gym and try to improve themselves, you know. So after that whole cancer and her recovering from it and, you know, doing that battle, I said, Mom, you know, anytime, you guys just come to the gym, you know, her, my mom, my sisters, you know, just my mom, my sisters, niece, everybody, I just come to the gym anytime, you know, take advantage of me, you know, right now, please come.
Use me as a resource.
Yes, please, you know, so she started to come into the gym, you know, 2 days a week, and I said, Mom, just start off on the bike, just pedal the bike, get the blood flow, get used to the sights, sounds, smells, and feels of everything, you know.
Just orient to the new environment.
And just within those couple of weeks, you know, she's just like, man, I went from 3 miles on the bike to I'm doing 5 miles on the bike to walking this, and I have to slow her down. Okay, that's enough for today, you know, because I don't want you to be super sore, but she sent me a message today. She's like, man, I just feel great. I just feel really good from that little, and that's just, we're barely tapping into it, you know what I mean? I'm
right. You're on the surface.
I was like, Mom, it gets better, you know, but just keep coming, be consistent with it. But it feels good for our moms to be like, learning from us, but you're the ones that taught us a lot of stuff that we know and who we are. So,
dude, it bugs me out.
Yeah.
And I feel, it's very cool because I think there's I feel pretty lucky. Like I have a really good relationship with my mom, like where I can talk to her about growing up. I could talk to her about anything.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Sex, drugs, like, I mean, nothing personal about sex life.
Right.
I was like, Mom, like, what's the deal with,
right.
she'd be like, well, she'd break it down. Like anything. There was nothing off topic.
For sure.
Like anything. She would just talk about anything. And then what I've seen though is like, because we were so open, now, I mean, like my wife's Chinese, and she comes from an Asian family, and it's like for their culture.
So's my girlfriend. This is all so weird, dude.
For the cultural like shift, she's like, my parents would never come to a class that I teach because I'm the child. Like in Chinese culture, it's like the parents are always the parents. They're always superior, and there's never like it's not a two-way street. I'm the teacher, you're the student, pretty much,
Right.
And my mom has always been like, no, she's like, we school each other pretty much. And it's just, for what it is. But when we've talked about that, and I've talked with my mom, she's like, it's a pretty like easy no-brainer. She's like, you took this stuff seriously. I saw you were into it. So to study from you seems pretty organic. And I'm like, well, Mom, that's cool. And I love it, but it's not necessarily typical either. Like, I don't see because a lot of people, it doesn't always happen where like, parents will come and really like learn under a child, their child. Like that's pretty interesting to have that kind of come down the pike in my life, because I feel pretty honored. I'm like, that's lucky, man. And the fact that they're into it and it flushes them into my life.
Yeah, we got to spend more time with them.
Totally.
My mom's like, oh, I get to see my son 2 days a week. I was like, yeah,
for
awesome.
sure. Twice a week. Twice a week. My mom's like, it's great. We come and we train, and they're instructors now. They're in Mexico right now, and they're teaching there and doing stuff.
Who is?
My mom and stepdad, they're doing like Tai Chi in Mexico.
What?
Yeah,
wow.
Dude. Yeah. So they're like...
We're at in Mexico.
They're in a little town called Los Barriles.
And what state?
You fly into San Jose del Cabo. And
Okay.
Yeah, and then you do like, I think it's 45 or 50 minutes south. And they're right on the coast. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I love Cabo. I got a little spot out there already.
It's beautiful, man. But yeah, so the takeaway just from that is just, if you get your parents into this stuff, it's pretty cool that they can actually, learn and receive and go this other way. But yeah, this piece, right, it's kind of linking this back, that mental shift that people get from moving their bodies in a new way, right? It blows me away, and it makes a ton of sense. Like, people handle stress better. Like, people that are like challenging their bodies, maybe they're not the best athlete, but they're like moving heavy stuff and trying to challenge their bodies. They digest stress way better.
Cool under fire.
Oh yeah, they're like, well, I can move all this heavy shit, and I can like sweat and just like grunt and get it all out. I mean, it's hugely therapeutic for people, man, and it's so lost. But people are starting to get hip to it again.
Oh, for sure.
People are like realizing we're too sedentary.
that everything feels great when we're in that flow state, when we're running. We get that high.
Yep.
I don't know what the word is, but I just like, I know it, I do it, I preach it, we practice it, but it's just like why people come to me, all these, corporate people, these very successful people that are doing great for themselves. Fine, when they hit the bag, you don't think about anything. You're hitting it, you're flowing, you're working.
There.
What is the word that describes that state? What is that like?
There's a few different. So flow state is one. They've talked about that. Presence is the other one that gets tossed around. What is it? Relaxed awareness.
Like where you can't think of anything else but what you're doing. Yeah. So anything on the outside doesn't matter for that hour. You know what I mean? Or for that minute, for that round, whatever it is.
It's 100% right.
And it's like you're going through these layers. You're trying to find it. And like in boxing. Like when you're sweating in that grit, that grind, you want to stop. Or weightlifting, that transcendent rep, where you're just like,
can I do it? Right.
If you break through that, man, on the other side of that, it's like so magical. You're just like, whoa, I just stepped out of this. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? That right there is just like, is such a beautiful feeling, but it takes a lot of work to get to that, and
you got to eat bitter.
You gotta what?
Eat bitter. That's a phrase they toss out in Chinese. Like, you have to eat bitter. Like, you have to eat bitter shit for quite a while to get that sweet flavor.
Yes.
Like, you got to taste the bitter things, and people get really hell bent on not eating anything bitter, and they're like, well, then you can't just eat sweet stuff all the time.
No,
you got to eat the bitter thing.
It's like if you've never like lost, you're never gonna appreciate like what a win feels like. You know what I mean?
You need opposition to like appreciate.
For sure. For sure.
100%. Well, I've said this before with friends of mine too. Like, you know, my dad died when I was 19, car accident. You know, and it sucked, man. It was just it was terrible. And he was a great guy. And I remember there was this really beautiful thing that came out of it though, which was at 19, you lose somebody that you love, and they're just gone, and there's no goodbye, right? It's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember just in the years after that, and even now, I'm 37 now, but like as time went on, there was like, I had so much more appreciation and gratitude for life.
Yes.
Straight up. You're just like, okay, anyone can check out at any time,
yes.
myself included, and I'm young.
Yes.
It happens. You have to like accept that reality that life is pretty rough. Bad things happen, you know? So that was, I had so much more appreciation, man. That was the piece that I liked. I was like, yeah, like this bad thing happens, but you definitely get a reverence and appreciation for life. Like fully, like
for sure, man. It's just like I come from Broderick, California, West Sacramento, and very humble beginnings from my family from San Jose de Gracia, Jalisco, and to see my dad's the youngest of 17 kids, mom's the youngest of 8.
It's a huge family.
So I've seen a lot of love. A lot of love has happened for that to be so right. But then also there's a lot of tragedies that need to happen, right? And then also I grew up in a beautiful community, great community, but I grew up in what we call the hood, right?
Yeah. And
so I experienced lots of crazy things there, but I've experienced so many beautiful things. I've seen, I've seen friends, friends die, get shot, with kids, just these crazy things,
man. Yep.
I lost my nephew, Marcos, was like our first godson. My first nephew, just what a great kid he was. But it's just like life's too short. It could happen. I wasn't having the best time of my life in my dad's hometown, my grandpa. Best time of my life. And then it went, I kid you not, at that moment, I went from the best time of my life, great time in Mexico with everybody,
to the worst.
To getting a phone call to like immediately the worst time of my life.
Yep.
And then it's just like, but also I looked at this kid, the last time I took him to something was WrestleMania. And I said a year, like in November, I was like, man, I need to buy these tickets. I've always wanted to go to WrestleMania. My nephew's been in WrestleMania. I was like, I'm going to regret not buying these tickets.
Right.
And something happened to this kid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Life's too short. So bought those tickets, got 3 tickets for WrestleMania. That was December, excited to give it to them for Christmas. WrestleMania, I don't know, was April around there.
Yeah.
Picked him up. I drove all the way from the Bay Area, from where I live to Vallejo to go pick him up. Then we go to Santa Clara, and it was just a great day. It was just awesome. Then after that, I had to drive him back to go meet him up with his dad because he lives in Esparto, at Cache Creek, right? So I met his dad halfway to drop him off because the kid had school the next day.
Yeah, right.
And we had a great time. But when he was walking away, I was like, said goodbye. I was like, damn, like if this is the last time I ever seen him, we had a great time.
Yeah.
That was the last time I ever saw him.
Yeah, man.
So,
yeah.
Don't mean to get choked up, but
no, man, no. It's fitting.
But
it's fitting.
But with that said, is that you appreciate people, fully, places, things
way more, man,
to the fullest.
Yeah, dude. That's the gift, man. Like I could not agree with you more, because I think that's the death is hard, man, and it's permanent, and it's so, especially for the living, right? It's like wherever they go. They're on the next phase, but for us, for the living, man, it's a challenge, because you're like, this is so fucking permanent. It's so, and it's in your face, and it doesn't change, and it's unwavering. And I always say, it's not some those kinds of things you don't get over, you just integrate.
Yes.
You don't get over them. You just you move forward and you integrate them, but you're not over it.
No, never.
Yeah.
I love having the tattoo. Where is he? Of him on my arm. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I live his spirit. This kid was amazing, a golden child. It's just like there's no bad bone in him. You know what I mean? So he served his purpose. So therefore, I was like, this kid served his purpose here on earth.
Leaves a mark.
No, it definitely does. So therefore, I was like, it's my job to honor him every day, to live my best life.
Yep.
And I take all these things that have ever been in my life, the struggle, the challenges, the goods, the bads, everything.
Yeah.
That's what drives me.
Yeah.
That's what makes me me.
Well, that's the gift too, right?
That's pain. The pain is love. Love is pain. It's just kind of like...
Well, and like it goes back to that thing, right? You need it. You need the oppositional thing to happen to appreciate. Without light, you don't know what dark is. There's, yin yang theory, man, out of Chinese medicine.
Sure.
I remember learning that in school and like looking at yin yang theory, and I was like, we've all seen the yin yang on books and tattoos, and but I remember reading that theory and just being like, oppositional forces at play all the time: birth, death, man, woman, alpha, omega, hard, soft, fire, water. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, there's all these oppositional forces, and they need each other, and they're one and the same thing ultimately. They're schooling you on
the circle of life,
on the Tao, right? The way, like it's teaching you about universal principle. Like, yes, these things are here, and they need each other. They look opposite, but they're one and the same thing ultimately, and and that's the whole like living, right? Like of life. I remember when my dad died, I ended up doing his eulogy. We did it downtown at the church. He had like 700 people show up. It was It was crazy. I was just like, good job, Dad.
Yeah, right.
He the way he talked about himself, I know he would have never thought that many people would have shown up. But I remember
it felt good, huh?
Oh, it was very cool, and I was like, damn. And it was a celebration of life. It wasn't like a funeral.
Yeah.
People were like telling stories. People put on like fishing jackets and were like doing cheers, and like it was just, it was like fun.
It was nice
and sad, of course. But but I remember I was in the receiving line afterwards. And they were coming up to people I'd never met. Some people I recognized, but there were like 700 people. There were a lot of people, and I was there for like 2 hours, just people coming through the line. Damn. And I remember when they were coming up and they were talking to me, they would start telling me stories. There's some story they had about my dad that he had done, some funny thing. And when they were talking to me, I would watch their mannerisms, and I could see my dad's face. Yeah, like they were like mimicking him. And you could just see, I was like, holy shit. At 19,
he really left influence on them.
He left a mark. I was like, that's it. Like what you just said, right? About your nephew. It's like the people, I think when everyone does this, it's just, are we hip to it while we're alive? Are we like aware of it? Are we aware of this? But I became aware of it. Like that was the gift. I was like, he left a mark on all these people just by being him and him being here. And they're carrying a little glimmer of him. Everybody is. Like it's a mark. And it became clear. I was like, even if I were to die tomorrow at 19, I remember thinking like, I've left my mark on people. I have. And I hope I stay around longer to do more.
For sure.
But I was like, I know I've left a mark.
No, for sure.
And we're all doing that.
Yeah.
And so the quality of the mark, it's like how do you, I think that's the dialogue that I got into is like, how do you make it a better mark? How do you leave like a really good mark on people? And that was the piece that I liked. When I saw it, that was the gift, man. When he died, I was like, holy shit. He left all these amazing things with these people, and now they're alive. It's alive in them. That's the immortal quality of like people. They leave a little immortal mark that just kind of is like, yeah, it's always there. And that's like the growth, right? Like I'm forever different because of him, and you're forever different because
for sure.
Like forever change, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's pretty cool to sit with that dichotomy, but it is difficult, man.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is.
It's not an easy.
No,
it's not an easy game.
It's definitely not. You know what I mean? But it's just like when it's time to cry, you cry about it, and then you can't sit there and like get lost in that. You gotta remember the good things, the lessons, and then take that and apply it and fight and keep going forward.
Yeah, life is for the living, man.
Keep going, man. Keep going.
Life
keep
is
going.
for the living. It's so true.
Yeah, keep going. Take their memories with you. Live that out, and you realize things can happen any day. So you better anything can happen anytime. So today, do your best in every which way, right?
Yeah, man. Optimize when you can. Because it is over quick, man. That shit.
Yeah, right.
It's over fast. And I was
even just us being like right now, like you're 37, I'm 36. I was like, man, I forget that I'm 36. Yeah. I feel 25. I feel, I feel great. But then sometimes, of course, your body's like, all right, you're 36 today.
Definitely not 22.
No. We work a lot. You work a lot smarter, you know what I mean? But it's definitely like I don't feel my age, or obviously people are like, oh man, you. I know. I feel this, and I'm like, well, good for you. Yeah. But I do this, so I don't feel that, Yeah. So, but it definitely just like life happens so fast, and it's just a great I don't know, all these adversities, challenges, the love, the good, the bad. It's definitely shapes us and molds us. You know what I mean? Like
it does. I completely agree. And this pivot, right? I mean, the whole and this stuff is all kind of circling around this thing, right? there's a medicine in the training of the physicality of your body, right? Mm-hmm. It's like these things pivot. Like we're left with this thing, man. We're in, mm-hmm. we're in this flesh suit for a while,
right?
Like you're here, so it's like, man, do what you can, because the onslaught of life is not particularly easy, right? Life's difficult.
No, it's a fight.
Yeah, life.
It's a boxing fight.
You're always like, exactly. You're bobbing, you're weaving, you're moving, you're like adjusting, adapting all the time. So it's like if you can optimize and figure out ways to like mitigate those stresses, right? Being in your body, right? Mm-hmm. God, learn some boxing. We'll learn whatever your thing is, right? That you're drawn to. But I think it's like it helps pull you out of, dude. Because I cannot tell you how many people get so wrapped up in their head where they're just like, oh, I'm so in my head, and I'm like, bro, go do wind sprints, right? Like go do 3 wind sprints and just like sprint as hard as you can. And typically people are like immediately mm-hmm. out of it. Mm-hmm. Cold shower. I'm like, it's the same thing, man. Just change your physiology. Mm-hmm. Like shift, get into your body, make something happen with your body. And then they're like, breakthrough. Like, and they're like, this is amazing. I'm like, yeah, groundbreaking, right?
It's like you shake that shit off. Get
totally,
that,
man. It's like,
shake your shit up, you know?
Yeah,
like, wake up, like wake your shit up. Like,
yeah.
Like, and I hate to like that's really what it is. Like, because if not, like life, like in boxing, like everybody has a plan in boxing. Like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan to get hit in the face, you know?
My favorite line of Tyson.
Oh, really? Yeah.
When he said that, because he was like, yeah, everyone's got a game to get the face punched in. Like, yeah, dude, that's exactly right.
It's the truth, but that's the reality of it. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you dive back into training. It's like, okay, let's go spar. Let's see where we're at.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. You're like, you leave the sparring session. Everybody gets hit in boxing, right? But the fighting, but it's just like what you feel afterwards. Just like, all right, can't do this anymore. I got to do this. It clicks.
Yep.
Because it gets that serious, But it's those are my challenges. That's how I get better. It's just so. Who knows what happens to the next person that makes them wake up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a good thing that happens to them, and sometimes it's a very bad thing. And most times it's something bad that happens to them that makes them make that choice. Okay, do I do this,
dude,
do I do that?
How many times? I mean, it's a pretty common story. People get into self-defense because they got their ass kicked. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They got or they got into a situation where they could have postured better to just get out of the situation. Yeah, like just
you can get out of fights just with the posturing words,
dude. One of the guys I'm gonna have on here, my buddy Malik Busby. He was a bouncer in Oakland for like 12 years. He's a big dude, half black, half white, just big, great guy.
I did that for a little bit too.
Did you? Yeah. We'll have to get into that. Yeah, I remember just talking to him though, and he's like, bro. He's like 90% of it is mental gung fu. Mm-hmm. Like it's just mental. He's like it's just body language, body posture, eye contact. He's like it's all pretty much that. Mm-hmm. He's like some 10% you got to get into it.
Yeah,
he's like,
for sure.
He's like, but if you're a good bouncer, the best ones, it's all mental.
That's all verbiage.
Yeah, it's just all like how well do you posture? How well do you just hold your root?
Tone,
and, all of that. And when do you stay calm and when do you get a little firm? And I was like, yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Like how well can you navigate that terrain? It makes a ton of Yes. It's great. It's so needed, man.
Yes, it's exactly it.
It's a good skill.
It very is. It is.
It's a good skill.
Because it's like it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and that either might get you into a fight or it might get you out of a fight. It might get you into some trouble or it might get you out of it. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But this could get dirty, but
choose wisely. Choose wisely.
Well, dude, there's a cool concept in Chinese medicine that they talk about this stuff. They talk about the organ systems basically regulating these aspects of you, of a human experience. So they talk about lungs. So lungs regulate this aspect, right? So if your lungs are healthy, basically, dude, it's really interesting. If you breathe deep and you have good diaphragmatic breathing and you have good exchange with oxygen through your lungs, these natural traits come to you and gravitate towards you more naturally, which means you posture better. And they say it's like everyone should be able to do this. Everyone should be able to posture in some capacity to be like, this is my territory, even if it's not aggressive. Just my claiming personal space.
Yes,
it's all function of the lungs. So they talk about this thing of like when people start to, they say there's a relationship between exercise and confidence. And Chinese medicine is like, of course, if the lungs are breathing well, people typically claim space better. There's like, for one, you're more resilient physically, but when the lungs and you breathe, you take in the breath of life. And you're not just...
Yes.
like the panicked, hyperventilating, shallow breathing. They're like, if you actually breathe, they're like, typically these things fall into order pretty naturally. It's interesting.
Like you're not removing that waste when you're if you're not exhaling, you're not removing that waste. You're just getting shallow breaths. Yeah, you're just creating more.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's such a simple mechanism, but it's incredibly true. Back in 2013, I went to this Qigong, which is like Tai Chi. It's like Tai Chi light, right? But it's like similar principles. It's a health practice. I went to this Qigong like seminar, and it was in Florida. And there were like hundreds and hundreds of people, and they did this breathing exercise, not unlike what you were talking about, the long, deep breaths. It was 9 breaths, but it was just like you're laying on the ground, and you do these fucking just deep, deep breaths. And they're like, look, everything you've learned about breathing, where you're going to think that you're hyperventilating and going to pass out, they're like, the lightheadedness, all the tingling, they're like, that's just oxygen flooding your system, and oxygen gets you high. Like,
yes, oh my gosh,
it gets you high.
Yeah, let me
bookmark that.
Yeah, bookmark that. Remind me about that.
I will.
The high altitude training, but go ahead.
Yeah. So we do this, man. There's like hundreds of people doing this breathing exercise, laying down, and I remember after like, I don't know what breath I was on, but dude, like my body was just starting to like, just felt like I was vibrating. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And I'm breathing, and then dude, I just start laughing. Like I'm just like, dude, what am I doing? I'm just on the floor breathing, but I feel amazing.
Yeah,
just from breathing, right? Total like state change.
You're getting high on your own supply.
Literally, man. Like that's exactly what it was. I was like high on oxygen.
Yes.
And I was just lit up and like, wow, my hands got hot, my feet, which were cold, got warm, and I was like, damn, like. And I study this stuff and I like it, but sometimes you just got to have that like. You know, you got to have that like really intense experience for it to really click. Like this is important.
Yes. You're like, okay,
for everybody. Yeah. So you can segue into your thing.
Yeah. So saying that the high altitude training, right? So we would do, for example, I would do 8 rounds on the bag, 3 minutes on, 1 minute off.
Yeah.
And they would, we would acclimate to the different intensities, right? So by our top training level, I was doing stuff at 10,000, 11,000 feet, you know, so they would be in the doing the hypoxic training, and then afterward we'd go to the hyperbaric chamber, right?
Yeah.
And pure oxygen and just kind of moving there,
right?
And we're in this machine just filtering out the bad stuff and nothing but pure oxygen in there, and literally it's just like. Bloop, 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 bloop. I felt like the Super Mario just after that mushroom. Like, oh man,
ate the mushroom,
man,
got more power.
Seriously, I got more air. I'm just like, you're awake, you're alert. You know, people would always ask me. Sometimes like I could talk a lot. And on top of like water, food, exercise, endorphins, my beliefs, all that. Yeah. People sometimes like, what's wrong with you? Why are you so like? What are you on? Like. Life, like I feel good, like right now I feel good, and sometimes I don't feel good, but when I'm like that, it's because I'm breathing, I'm eating my correct food, I'm training right now, I'm resting, I feel good, I'm visiting my family, I'm taking care of stuff, I'm challenging, but I don't have it all perfect, but right now I feel great because of I'm breathing better.
The choices you're making.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Like, what are you cultivating?
Yeah. So,
are you growing this stuff? Yeah.
So when you're able to breathe better, and especially when you're in that pure oxygen area, woo, it's awesome. Or getting out in nature, doing hikes, man. Dude. After I come back from hikes, I'm just like, I see the world different, man.
It's a drug,
like,
dude.
Get out, people. Get out, move, go nature. Outside. Turn your phone off. Spend time with your family, dude. Call your friend. Like
100%. Like during this. I'll have you over this summer. I'll have you sometime. But we do seasonal in our backyard. We do outdoor movie nights.
Oh, sick.
And so we'll set up like a 12-foot screen with a big projector. We have like big THX. It's awesome. But it was like, and they're like, why did you do this? I'm like, it's a simple answer. I'm like, if I'm going to sit and watch something when the weather, I would rather be outside, sitting outside, getting fresh air, like looking at the night sky, watching TV than I would rather just be inside.
Yeah.
Super simple. And collectively, I mean, during the spring and summer, it puts me, if I'm doing anything at night, it puts me outside for a few hours.
Yeah.
As opposed to me just sitting on a chair. And invariably what starts to happen is, because we have a big lawn out there, the movie's on, I'll stretch.
Yeah.
I'll roll around.
You're active.
I'll do some Tai Chi. And I'm like watching, Arnold Terminator 2. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, this is great, Like, but yeah, it's like just being outside, doing those things that It's like any area where you can like glean a little bit, you know, like take
what?
You can glean just a little bit, like take a little bit of something.
Yes.
Like a little bit of like fresh air, a little bit of. But if they start to add up, right? You know, who are you gonna have lunch with? The person that's like the battery booster or the battery drainer.
Oh my god.
You know, like that kind of stuff. It's like picking your social circles, eating quality food that actually makes you feel good, right? Like exercising enough but not too much, getting enough sleep, you know, drinking enough water, like these things, just tending to your suit. You know, like
no one how to conserve your energy, no one how to protect, and no one when to use it, you know.
Dude, that's a big
one. We only have limited supplies of it, so
100%.
Yeah.
Have you done any of the sensory deprivation tanks?
No, I haven't.
You've heard of it though.
Yes.
You would like it, man.
Really?
Oh yeah, if you're an athlete and if you're athletic and use your body in any capacity, I think they're good for everybody.
But explain a little bit more.
Yeah, if you're an athlete though, it is. I mean, there are a few things that will put you into decompression better than that. So like they got.
What's the protocol?
So they do. Some are big, some are small. I prefer the big ones. The small ones make me feel like I'm in a coffin, and it makes
I'm claustrophobic.
Yeah. So the ones I've done, you can actually stand up in. It's like maybe 8 feet long, 5 to 6 feet wide, and probably 8 or 9 feet tall. So it's like a little room, but at the bottom you're laying in this. It's a tub, right?
Right.
It's like you walk into this room, and in the bottom of the tub, this little dark room that you come into, there's about this much water, but they have 1,200 pounds of magnesium salts in the water, Epsom salts.
Okay.
So, you know, it's just physics, man. That much salt, your body floats like a cork.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't matter how big you are. And I thought that was bullshit because I'm like 260. And I'm like, I'm going to sink, bro.
Yeah.
This much water. They're like, no, there's that much salt. Like, you're going to float. So you get into the water, and immediately the water is 98.6 degrees, same temperature as your body.
Right.
So when you're in it, the first thing you notice is you get into the water, you're floating. So right away, your central nervous system doesn't have to deal with gravity anymore. Everything's decompressed, right? So you're floating. So that's one piece, right? Your nervous system goes, oh, okay, now I don't have to deal with any stabilizer muscle. I don't have to do anything. So your muscles and your nerves immediately begin to relax, and Epsom salts are good for injury. Yeah. They nourish the muscle. But then the temperature of the water is the temperature of your body, so your brain has a difficult time identifying the external environment from like what you're feeling. So that does a bunch of different stuff to your brain. They've done all this research on it, and then you close the door and it's pitch black, dude.
Okay,
and then the water's up to here.
Yes.
So you're back now. You're weightless, no light, no sound other than your own pulse and your own breath. You're essentially like in the womb. And it's a bug out because you'll lay there and you're like,
I need to go do it this week.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I drive by this place called Balance Float in where I'm at. Yeah,
just go and do like a 30-minute or a 60-minute. Okay. But once you get in there, and once you like kind of get over the trippiness of like, what is this? You know. But once you're in it, dude, you'll start to like drift off, and your body will start to twitch. Like you'll have like releases, like just like when you're getting a massage or something. Like, or you're dreaming and you wake up and you. So your body goes through a bunch of that, and then typically, man, you wake up, you'll fall asleep and wake up, and you're so completely disoriented because your body is not having to process anything. And so what they found with the research is, when your body gets to turn off the processing of sound, no sensory light input, your eyes, all that sensory input turns off. There's no balancing force in the nervous system. That your nerves get to relax because there's just no gravity, and then your body's warm. So you're completely comfortable in every sense, and it's dark. Truly, all senses are deprived. They're turned off. So your body, what happens is your body's like, well, all right. So since we're not doing anything, we're gonna start to like.
I'm gonna take the day off.
Yeah, I'm gonna repair. So you'll get out, right? You said you like to talk, right?
No, I'm going. I'm going.
Totally.
I'm picking up everything right now.
And I'm the same way. Like I like to talk. I like to have good conversations with people. Did you get out of there? You're like
send out.
Well, you're just like, so how are you? Like everything is slowed down because your body has literally gotten a chance for maybe 30 to 60 minutes to turn off, which rarely happens. So when you do it, if you're like people that are performance, like an athlete, man, if you're using your body physically in any capacity, holy shit. Like you'll notice a difference quick.
I need that ASAP.
Yeah.
I always get that high from my Thai massage lady. She's so amazing, man. I've gotten so many massages since I was like 16, 17 sports, right?
You need it, yeah.
But man, I found this lady. She's such a spiritual like healer, but she knows her stuff.
Yeah.
She has her own shop.
That's cool.
She could have so many people there, but she doesn't do it. She does it because she really loves it. She's got her PhD and other stuff.
In it for the craft, right?
Oh my God, this lady is so into it.
Yeah.
And so when I leave her, I feel at peace because of just her presence.
Yeah.
I feel relaxed and I feel sore from the work that we put in on the
sure.
deep tissue Thai massage.
For sure.
And it was beneficial because it got me somewhere. But afterwards, I'm just like, why were you tripping off that? Why are you so stressed out about that? It's okay. You know what I mean? It allows me to like, it just feels amazing. You know what I mean? For the day or two, then I got to get back on the grind. It goes, you know what I mean? But it's just like for those moments, man, wow.
Well, take it when you can get it.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I think everybody needs to work out, and also everybody needs their own moments of peace and relaxation to feel, you know, and restore that energy. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Soak it up when you got it. Because life, I mean, there's a lot of times, man, and then you'll go through phases, right, when you're working and busy and stuff, and it's like, there's no time to do that. Mm-hmm. So it's like when it does come and you're able to have a moment's peace, celebrate it.
Yeah, enjoy it. Yeah.
Celebrate it.
Even sometimes, like, you know, like that endorphin after you get done working out, or usually it's like that you know, that runner's high, or whenever you get done working out, like you're just sitting there like spaced out, you know. Like, I get that, you know, I'm just like, oh, it's so like,
oh yeah, it's great.
I don't feel anything, right? Like when those moments happen, stay in that. Don't like, you know what I mean? Like, and sometimes I get it from working out, but sometimes it can be just during the middle of the day and just like,
yeah, right.
You see people walking by, but you're not fazed by it.
Yep.
That little moment of peace means so much. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the reset button, man.
I wish I could do that just automatically. Like, all right, like, but it don't work like that.
Right. I mean, there's that's the whole thing.
But that state of being, it's such a good feeling. I want to go experience now what you're talking about.
It's great, man.
And so there's a spot where I go by my house called Balance Flow. I need to go check it out.
Check it out, and then when you go and sign up for a few sessions.
Okay.
Because the first one, like
you're still trying to relax.
Yeah.
You're sights and sound, the claustrophobia, like
the whole thing just is kind of weird the first time, and I think your body. You're
still like tense.
Yeah, it took me like I think. Like the third session is when my body really started to sink. Okay. And then, because I remember the first time I laid in there and I kept waking up and it was disorienting. The first time it was just so disorienting because my body like that.
I get out of here.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Oh, right. I'm in a dark room.
I'm supposed to be relaxing.
Right. And then the second time, same thing happened, but less. Uh-huh. And I actually fell asleep for like 20 minutes of it. And then the third time, I mean, that time, I remember the distinct sensation that my body was melting into the water, and I wasn't on drugs. I was just like, "Oh shit, this went up a different notch." And then I fell in,
entering a new level.
Yeah, right. Ding ding ding. Yeah, it's like, you know, when you're that space between awake and asleep. Sometimes you fall into. It's like that little in between spot. I was there for like half of the session, and my body was just. And I remember being like, "Oh my god, I think I'm in. I don't know where I am, and if I think about this too much, I'm gonna be pulled out of it." There's a certain amount of like surrendering and just staying in that. But man, then when I started going consistently, like I haven't been in quite a while now, but when I was going consistently, I'd go like at least once or twice a month. Mm-hmm. And man, that was like, I could not believe how much stress would peel off just from laying in a tub of salt water, man. Dark and just, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I got hip to it. Joe Rogan talked about it years back. And he would get super baked before he would go, and I was like, I'm not that brave. I just, I was like, I'll just
too paranoid.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, man, I'll just do this. But it's powerful, man. You'll definitely notice a difference if you do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
done deal. It's
amazing.
Happen.
Well, how about with so kind of going back to like the training piece.
Uh-huh.
So like just back to the root physicality of this, you know. So a lot of like martial art traditions, right? When you start martial art training, they put you into horse stance. It's a low squat stance, and you throw punches, and it's good for your back muscles, good for the psoas, but they're building like strength in the legs. Mm-hmm. So for boxers, say you get an average man or woman coming off the street, and they're like this demographic that you and I are talking about, which is they want to learn boxing skill. Mm-hmm. they don't want to become an elite fighter, but they're, let's just say, like, not in their body. Like, they're kind of disconnected from their body. Where do you start them? Like, truly, like, what are the exercises when you're talking about the kinetic chain, from the feet with the legs? What do you do with them? What's the first thing you have them do?
Lay on the ground.
Really?
Yeah, lay on the ground. I mean, usually, like, lay on the ground, start rolling them forward and back, mobilize the spine, kind of fire up the core, just something relaxing. And then from there, turn over planks, kind of fire that up. Okay, you're starting to digest this movement. Okay,
so
turn over plank.
Moving their torso.
Moving their torso, or maybe it's just like basic twisting, right? Or I might give an example of something, like show them the end result of it, and then start back over. Okay, this is where we're going to start. But like I said, everybody's body's different, everybody's level's different. So somebody who knows who's an athlete, okay, I could progress them a lot faster, right? Somebody who's never done any kind of sports, all right, we got to take things a lot slower for you. I mean, yes, you want to punch, and I get you moving and doing stuff, but as far as like learning, really developing your body so that you're able to really maximize that punch and not hurt yourself, because you're doing a lot of impact. So that you got to be neuromuscularly efficient at all your exercises, so that you could do that for your punches. So, like I said, everybody's different. So, somebody the core is always there for sure, but some people might need a little bit more work with their legs or their upper body. But I start doing exercises that I just started doing exercises that are mimicking the boxing movements that we're going to be doing,
Right, so it's relevant.
So it just depends on the person, the level that they're at.
That makes sense, yeah.
And the energy that they have for that day, So stability, balance, stability, core work. And if they have that, well, then we could go into some more strength stuff, more repetitions of walking in their stance or throwing a punch, or because every time you're training, right, or anytime you're working out, you're lifting weights or whatever, you're gonna feel that exercise. Yes, primarily the same spot, but you might be a little bit more sore in another area because that muscle's firing up, and
for sure,
it's unlocking stuff. So every time you box, you train, you have to go in there with an intent. Today's session's going to be, yes, we're boxing, but today's just going to be about breathing and boxing and how that applies. Okay. Then today's sessions, we're going to be stepping and punching.
Right.
Today, we're going to be connecting the punching, stepping, and turning our punch over.
Right.
Then we're going to change that location. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we're going to add, there's the sweet science. There's so many different formulas to try to execute the main thing of trying to hit somebody, hit the bag, whatever. But...
And it's safe to say, if I'm hearing you right, that it's small digestible pieces.
Yeah,
for them to coordinate what they're doing for a larger design, right? A larger process.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it can be overwhelming.
Oh, it is. It is because
asking people to move their bodies is overwhelming for most. Doing
that, right?
Yeah.
And then and so there's music on. There's other distractions. It's fun to create that environment. Just like a fun workout environment, right?
Yeah.
But like, there's distractions in a boxing fight. You have the crowd, everybody, you have your nerves, you have people yelling, whatever it is. But also, too, you have a task in front of you that you need to handle and still be able to focus. So when you work out with me, it's just like, okay, there's music, there's sights, there's sounds, but I'm getting you to try to focus on one thing right there, so if you could do that here right now, well, then we could get to the next step, right? And if we could keep on doing that kind of stuff, well, then we could maybe one day fight. But it's sorry, I'm losing my
but I was asking, it's a sequence of like how you're training somebody.
Yes. So it's like everybody's different, and we're just trying to develop these little skills, and it's like a construction worker, right? They got their tool belt. They have all these tools, but that job might only need a nail and a hammer.
Right. Right.
Oh, this is a little bit more difficult. I might need a little bit more. So it's just having all those tools and being able to how to pull those out when necessary in a fight, or how to now how to throw instead of just a basic. Everybody knows a basic 1-2, okay, but how to throw a basic 1-2, step back, throw a 1-2, move your head and turn around. Okay, well, let's practice that,
Yeah.
And then, okay, how does that now? How would you apply this in boxing? What's it for? How would I apply this on the bag? How would I apply this in a fight? Okay,
Right.
so those lessons that you learn doing that skill, you're putting a lot of work into it. That hopefully it carries over now into your life, but into boxing, into your fight. Sorry.
No, not at all, man. No, it's a complicated answer because there's a lot to it.
Yeah, it's so deep. You know, boxing's so deep. The martial arts are so deep, and
teaching an art, man, that's why it gets like this.
Yes, because if we were to talk just to like a normal person, like you understand everything I'm saying, right? But if I were to talk to somebody else, I'd be like, "You're just crazy," but like, no, you're not ready for it. You know what I mean? I really feel like Miyagi, you need to go wax on, wax off, and then come back. You know,
sweep the floor. Right?
Yeah,
Paint
for
the
sure,
fence,
for sure. You know, so but people like, man, you're such sometimes you're such like a guru. You're so what do they call it? You're such a sage, you know? Like, I was like, cool. I like that, you know?
I'll take that,
because I've looked up to these kind of people, you know? Thank you, you know? But, you know, so like, so I want to dive deeper into the art with everybody, but not everybody's ready for it, you know what I mean? So if they could do the basics of it first and then they find success with it and be consistent with that, they're going to find a good benefit of that, right? Then we can progress that later on. I could be like, okay, now I can show you chapter 57,
right?
You know, because
the next layer.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But
no, it's very similar, man. Like my experience, the reason I ask is the process is similar, right? There's different exercises and there's different things. But it's rudimentary stuff always first, foundational things. You know, how can you like squat well? Can you sink your legs well? Can you do these things? Can you keep your spine in one spot without decompress or like crunching one side of your spine? And getting people to that. And like you said, the art kind of, I would say the more wiggle room and expression comes later. Where I'm like, there's a certain amount of scientific building blocks we just got to put in first, just so you don't hurt your knees, just so you don't hurt your body, and just so you have your basic pilot light lit.
Yes.
Is it on? Like, are you just in your body and moving without overthinking this? And then there's like all these different layers of things you can add to things. It's amazing, man, that like the movement, dude, like the form that I teach, it's a Wu style Tai Chi. It's 5 to 7 minutes long to do the whole sequence, right? 18 moves, 18 gestures. And I've had students studying that same 5 to 7 minute routine for the past 4 years.
Oh, wow. I bet it.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it kind of gives a testament. Even I'm kind of surprised. I'm like, damn, there's so much in, and that's just one style. It's like, but it's true for like anything in the arts.
Yes.
Like you could paint an apple. Every day you could paint an apple, right? Like just, you know, every time the apple gets rotten, you get a new one, but you paint one, and it's like, dude, every painting's going to look a little different.
Yeah, for sure.
And your technique gets better, and you're like, oh, how do I capture light? How do I, how do I make the shadow look more living? Like, there's so much to put into this stuff, but I think that's the beauty of it. And again, it goes back to that thing of like, people need challenging things.
Yes.
Simple shit people get really bored with. I always tell people, I'm like, you should be grateful that Tai Chi is difficult and like these things or boxing is difficult. You should be grateful because that'll keep you busy.
So why do you think people like golf?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
I didn't grow up around it. I mean, like that, but it's just like I could see how my friends be like, let's go golf. I was like, I'll drive the cart and hang out with you guys. Like, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I was like, it's just doesn't look intense to me. And then my friend, she was a golf pro, and she showed me. I was like, hey, show me how to swing.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not Happy Gilmore style and just trying to drive it.
We wish, right?
right. It's a flow. It's a technique. It's this. It's that. Okay, now I see why everybody plays golf. It's peaceful for them. It's challenging for them. You know what I mean?
Fully.
And
it's a thing for them.
Yes. It's a technique. It's a flow. It's a. You have to practice it, and if you don't, your skills fall off. You know,
it's just like anything.
And so it's just like that constant practice. It keeps us living up here, you know?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it keeps us living, and it makes life worth living.
Yes.
I think.
Yes, for sure. Because
I'm like, what are we doing here, man? I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Like the formula, I mean, I don't have it figured out.
No.
But the formula, I'm like, when I look at my life, I'm like, what do I really enjoy? Okay, I love time with my wife and daughter, friends and family, you know, like having good conversations. I like quality food. I like being outdoors. And then it's like, and I like doing some art. And then you're kind of like, what else is there to life? You know, I mean, you got your job, right? You have the thing, you're going to help people, being of service. But the formula, it's like, it's not that many things that really make us happy.
Right.
It's pretty simple. You have to just pick and choose which ones you want to focus on more, and then how to cultivate it.
Yeah,
practicing it.
I you always heard people say, find your passion, you'll find your purpose.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But that takes a lot of like courage to be like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. Most people, okay, that's another conversation, right? To get there. But I think find your purpose, find your passion. Find your passion, you'll find your purpose.
Right.
And then where we went to school, right? Christian Brothers, right? What's it say on the outside of the school?
What does it say?
Do you know what it says?
What was it?
It was the new wing. We were there when we left, right?
Oh,
it was the new wing. You know what it says right now?
What does it say?
It says, "Enter to learn, leave to serve."
I don't think I ever saw that.
Man, it's just like I was like, man, that just made me really proud. I was like, that's exactly why we are who we are. You know what I mean? Like it just made perfect sense, right? So I'm like, I always believe now. Yeah. Find your passion, you'll find your purpose.
Yeah.
You enter to learn, and you leave to serve.
Yeah.
Like, you faith, family, and
it's pretty simple.
Faith, family, and love, man, and just
it's pretty simple.
Rock on and have fun.
Yeah. Enjoy yourself, man. Yeah. That's the thing I'm always telling people. They're like,
and protect yourself at all times.
Yeah, right.
Because
be aware, man.
Yes.
Be aware for sure. Well, so man, what about where are you looking to go now? Like with where you are, how you're actively training people and what you're doing. What does the future hold for you? Like where are you kind of what are you actively attempting to create with what you're doing? Like
I'm creating I've always been my own brand, my own person, right? Sure. So I'm just developing more my brand, the Melendez Boxing.
Yep.
I have personal training clients, I have group boxing classes for everybody, I have kids classes. I train West Bay Warriors, this A-ball competitive softball, great organization.
Oh, that's cool.
Being able to work with young girls from 10 to 15 years old. A lot of these girls, Cornell, going to UCLA, being scouted out, these, just being a part of that. And then I would love one of these days to have a community center.
Yeah.
To be able to have these classes, these wellness center for kids, for everybody, you know what I mean? But to have everything in there, and to be able to help out, these not so well communities, and really I would love to travel the world and to go these different places to put on those seminars, to talk, to just to motivate, to learn, and like I'm being asked right now to come do a talk at a school, talk to a kids track team. I would love doing that, to motivate, you know what I mean? Like, so that kind of stuff really,
it's profitable too, man.
Yeah. If
you can exercise and grow that speaking.
No, I want a house. I want a kid. I want a wife. I mean, I have my girlfriend, the love of my life. You know what I mean? Like, I have everything I need, but I don't have it right now. You know what I mean? But what I do have is this purpose, this passion that's going to allow me to have all that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's the groundwork.
Yeah, I'm really. I put in a lot of work to get where I'm at, and I'm just like, now I'm really excited to keep on going, you know what I mean? I've always been excited. So I would just love to keep on teaching boxing and instilling this confidence that I've learned through boxing around the world to anybody and everybody who's wanting to put the work in and you know what I mean? Like wanting to put the work in and genuinely value my time and their time, and you know what I mean? And that way we could both get somewhere together. You know what I mean?
And it's helpful. I mean, collectively, it's helpful because people that, when Anthony Bourdain died, I was like bummed, man. I really liked that. I liked his presence. And I was just like, damn, man. But I remember him talking about how he got into jiu-jitsu. And part of it was, I think, talking to Joe Rogan. And he was a cook, chef, who got into this thing because people were kind of pushing him to do this thing just as an exploration. And it's like, here's this guy who jumped into this thing that technically wasn't really on his life path, but it helped him so much. He lost all this weight. He felt really good. Russell Peters, you know who that is? Like he's a comedian. Like he's
yes.
He's like an East Indian guy.
Yes.
Dude, and he's doing jiu-jitsu now too, and it's the same kind of thing though, like what you're talking about. It's like taking people and sharing this gift, because like there's a lot of people out there who aren't going to be boxers, but they can still learn the craft, the skill, and get like this mental upgrade and spirit, like a spirit upgrade, man. You feel better.
And everybody finds a very new respect for the sports and fighters.
Yeah.
Because
Man, fighters put their lives on their lines in there. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you guys are fan paying tickets, but like, man, you do not know what the fighter has done. It's gone through their life. The work that they did to get in the ring, to have that guy that sits on the couch doing nothing, drinks his beer, or whatever you mean, to be judging somebody. You know what I mean? Like, or calling him a bum and this and that. Like, man, you wouldn't last 2 minutes on the treadmill, let alone 2 minutes in the ring. You know what I mean? So
correct.
Enjoy your beer, enjoy the show, just be positive and try to learn something, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because it's martial arts, fighting, all, it's about respect, man. It's about respect, because everybody could get it.
Well, yeah, and dude, there was a real. I remember the first time I went to like this, when I was in this organization called the North American Tongue Trao Association, and they were like old school, like they do like very martially oriented in the Chinese martial arts, and then they did like acupuncture, bone setting, like old school Chinese kung fu, like Mr. Miyagi shit. Yeah. But they were serious, and they're like practitioners all over the country, and they're very good. And I went to my first like sparring conference, right? Like where it's like, yeah, it's, you know, it's full contact. You can go in there and test what you're learning. And I remember going there, and I had not done that really. And I remember just being like,
who's your Shidoshi?
Yeah, right. Dimmak. Yeah, dude, I was nervous as hell going. And then I remember though, everybody was very respectful to everybody else. And it was just because this underlying thing, men to women, man to woman, women to men, like across the board. But everyone was that reality of physicality. Everyone's like, everyone needs to just mind their tongue. Like everyone needs to, you could just feel it where everyone's like, there's no need to do that in this space because some people here are very equipped. And I think that there's a certain amount of reverence and respect that comes.
The quiet ones.
When people are just, you know, it's like everyone's like, I think when like the fighting people are skilled in fighting in some capacity too, there's just a level of respect that everyone kind of has for each other too. Mm-hmm. There's like, oh yeah, like, yeah, you know, that guy's probably dangerous, so you should probably just you know, be respectful. Like it's reasonable, you know, and it's not about fear or intimidation.
And to everybody,
that's what I mean.
But that one definitely really makes them like look back, like,
yeah,
oh, okay, maybe I don't mess with that person. You're like,
but reasonable. No, it's the same thing, right? Just don't taunt the tiger. There's no need to be stupid.
No.
No need to like, you know, push buttons when buttons don't need to be pushed. But I think it's a good mindset that I think people kind of take in, because it's like, don't underestimate anybody, you know?
Never.
Don't push into that space. That's like the worst thing you can do, I think, is like, yeah.
Don't underestimate anybody, and don't take life for granted. like just don't. Dude, because
I 100% agree, man.
Anything could happen to anybody at any given time. So
yeah.
Protect yourselves at all times.
Yeah. Well, dude, on that note, do you want to have a little tequila as we close out here?
Let's do it. I would love to.
All right, so we'll close out here with some Casamigos.
All right, let's do it.
So Casamigos, I don't know if you're hip to it.
Oh, I know, I love it.
You do like Casamigos?
Oh, man, I love tequila. We're from where my family's from. We're from the area where all the tequila's made, you know.
Oh, so, nice, man.
And we're Mexican, so you know it's always in us. But yes, George Clooney, and I don't know who his partner is, but I love this tequila.
Dude,
who's his partner?
I actually don't know.
Okay, I just know obviously George Clooney, but just
cheers, man.
Yeah, no, salud.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, when I had this, the first time I was out somewhere and someone said, I think it was.
Sorry, this reminds you of Cabo San Lucas now.
Yeah,
the first time I had it, I was like, "Well, it's good."
Totally. No, it's the first time I had Casamigos. I'm trying to think where I was. I think I was at a tequila bar, but I was asking the bartender like, "What's a really good tequila?" Mm-hmm. And he was like, "I had heard of Casamigos, and I knew it was George Clooney." He's like, "Casamigos," and I'm like, "The George Clooney one, man?" And I was like, "Really? Like, I don't know, man. Fucking, that's a celebrity."
Nah,
you know? He was like. He's like, go online and read about George Clooney and his like appreciation
for tequila, bro.
He like
nailed
loved
it. Nailed it.
So I was like, all right, pour it. And then I had it and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
this is like really good, you know? Yeah. And the Anejo's really good too. This is the Reposado, but
yeah, shout out to George Clooney, shout out to Casamigos, and shout out to Jalisco where tequila's made.
It's so good, man. This one is really good. Have you had Dulce Vida?
Maybe I've seen the bottle.
Yeah, it's really good too.
Yeah,
that's a really good one.
I can't say.
Herradura, I like too. That one's really good. This is really good. There's a bunch, man.
When I come back, I'm gonna go to Jalisco to our basically my dad's hometown. The town celebration. Everybody has a fiesta, you know. So the small town, they celebrate basically the church, the town, the people.
Yep.
But just the tequila, obviously, is just you're there right there. you're at the source, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely get a lot of stuff that
Might
they
as well
don't
jump in
they
there.
don't sell. They don't sell there. But there's this there's this tequila that I had one time. I had a nice dinner on vacation. I was like, you know what? I want this good tequila afterwards. It's called Rey de Sol.
Ooh.
You know, look it up, man. Look it up. Rey
All
de
right.
Sol. It's
right.
like, it was like candy. I was like, how? I mean, enjoy yourself, you know what I mean, with that. And you'll sip it after dinner and just like, wow, like how did they do that, you know? So obviously not the price point, but it's just these different tequilas are.
Dude, I think it's like any of this stuff, right? Like when you start researching how it's made, it's like anything, right? You're like, damn, you just respect the process and the product a lot more. You're like, it's really good, man. Like tequila consistently, I can drink tequila. I would say out of all the spirits, it's the one I feel the best on.
Yeah.
Like when I drink it, it's not heavy. Like it's I love whiskey, but whiskey can be. I have to drink whiskey in the fall and winter when it's cold.
Yes.
I drink whiskey. I'm like
yes,
hot. You know, it's just very. Tequila though has just got this beautiful, like, I don't know, something about it, and it grew on me, dude. And The Rock loves tequila. He's starting a tequila line.
Oh yes, I saw that. Yeah,
I'm like, and that guy drinks tequila every day.
No, I bet.
He says one shot, maybe sometimes two every night. Like that's what he does. Like he wraps up his day. He has one shot of tequila, sometimes two, and he loves tequila. So when he said he was making a tequila line, I got really excited.
Yeah, no,
I was like, dude,
if you smell what The Rock is cooking, I can't wait to smell it.
I was so excited, man. I was like, you gotta get this.
Yeah, no, I love my tequila with, I mean, like, I love palomas. I mean, if you make it, obviously lime, you know, salt, you put your squirt soda is the best with it.
Yep.
You put a tajin on it, you know, and back in Jalisco, the cantaritos, you know, they're just little clay cups. But that's like my go-to. Yes, palomas all day. Or, you know, if you want to, I'll put soda water, lime, salt on this, you know, if I'm trying to be cool. But it's just I can have it anyway, you know.
I'm the same way, man. In my mom's were their little spot in Mexico, Los Buriles.
Mm-hmm.
So all the locals there, like when we went there, my mom bought this place back in like 2006, and we went there and we were hanging out there, and all the locals, they were drinking this beverage, you know, and I'm like, what is this? And they're like, it's a T&T, you know, and I'm like, what's T&T? They're like, tequila and tonic. So it's like tequila and tonic water. And dude, that mixture, like no one knows about it here. I order it now when I go places and people are like, oh, wait.
Tequila and tonic water?
Tequila and tonic water? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, not tequila and club soda. I'm like, no, tequila and tonic. So tequila, a good tequila with a good tonic and a squeeze of lime. Mm-hmm. Holy shit!
Really?
Oh, dude! And
I'm gonna change it up,
dude. All the locals were drinking it there. They're like, this is the drink. Like if you order something, they're like, this is what to get. Like, don't fuck around.
That's any city I travel to. I was like,
yeah.
What do you guys drink around here? I want it
straight up. And I'm like,
what do you guys drink? What do you eat?
And
I
I'm
need
like,
to know.
Yeah, totally. And I'm like, Blanco, Reposado, Anejo. They're like, whatever, but like good tonic, good tequila, and with a lime. And I'm like, damn. And so now, dude. It's like right up there, up there with like some of my favorite drinks are like a Greyhound. It's all citrus. I like Greyhound. I like mojitos. Mm-hmm. I like tequila and tonics. Like definitely love a good margarita.
Refreshing, clean.
Yeah,
like natural.
That seems to be the kind of like direction I go. But the tequila and tonic, man, it's worth trying.
Okay,
like it's damn tasty.
Done deal. Because I mean, like the only time I've heard tonic, obviously gin and tonic. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't drink gin. Like I don't know. It's just not my thing. But I've had it in other drinks before, you know, and it was like, well, that's gin in there. Okay, I can drink this one.
I can do that, right?
But and then I've tasted tonic water. I was like, I love carbonated water. I love soda water, seltzer water. But I was like tonic. I was like, it has a little different taste to it. Why? Why? What is it? You know?
It's the quinine.
It's quinine. Okay.
That's the flavor of like tonic.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes it's synthetic and sometimes it's real.
Okay.
But I think that's how you say it. Quinine.
Quinine. Okay.
Yeah, but it's like Quinine, and that's the flavor that gives tonic its little like that flavor is that.
Nice.
It's good though. I mean, if you get a good tonic is quite good. You know, it's just you have to find the right one.
Like Schweppes, like the Schweppes brand.
Yeah, well, I like. There's one called Fever Tree that they actually sell at like most Nuggets or Rayleigh's.
Okay.
It's a pretty mainstream one, but they have like different kind of flavors. They have like an elderberry.
Okay.
But it's almost like it's kind of like it's a little more expensive, but I think it's like. You know, it's
worth it.
I've had friends tell me they're like, if you're gonna make a mixed drink, the key is good spirit, and a good like mixer. Like you can't just have bullshit.
You're right.
They're like,
cancel some pop vodka.
Like actually, like,
and
get something.
Safeway Select, like,
correct.
Like,
get something that's like quality.
If that's what you got, go ahead, go for it.
For sure.
But if you could get the other stuff, get the other stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%, man. Well, dude, before we fully close out here,
yes,
for people watching, what's your Instagram? What's your social media? Let's put that out there.
All right. So,
and if you got a website or whatever, you got that you want people to be aware of.
So again, Fabian Melendez. You can find me on Facebook, Fabian Melendez. Instagram, Melendez Boxing.
That's just at Melendez.
Yeah, Boxing. At Melendez Boxing on Instagram. I have my email, Fabian@melendezboxing.com.
Okay.
Website, melendezboxing.com. I'm in Redwood City. I'm in the Bay Area. I'm in Sacramento, so
Sacramento today.
Yeah, I'm in Sacramento today, but I always try to come and visit. And when I come visit, I come visit family, but then I'm boxing and I'm always down to do a group session with people to teach new people. Cool. Hey, if you want to come by, watch me work out at the gym, come by, call me. Like, I'm very personable with people. Like that's why I like the personal training. Being a personal trainer. I'm a very personable person. I like connecting with people. So feel free to reach out, ask questions. I'll try to get back to anybody and everybody that I can.
Beautiful.
But feel free to ask me questions about boxing or whatever it is that you want at any time, or what gym do I recommend in the area you're going to, or what kind of equipment, whatever it is boxing related. Call me. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's talk boxing. Whatever it is that you want.
That's great. And maybe we'll have you back on for if there's a big boxing fight. We'll have you
for sure.
Give the fight recap. That'd be fun.
Man, what's coming up next, man? I can't think right now. But there's just so much. There's so much going on in boxing. We could
the last one.
We could be here all day.
Man, it'd be fun too. But the last one I watched was the Deontay Wilder and Fury.
God, dude.
That was intense,
man.
And that was just brutal. That was like two titans just going at it. And then Fury got dropped right at the end, which was it was just an amazing fight.
Yeah, it was. That
was one of the best boxing fights.
It was everything, man. I was jumping up and down the TV, and just kind of like after the first round, the first 2-3 rounds, like, man, Fury, let's go, you got it. I love both guys, right? They're both great guys, but I was I picked somebody. I wanted Fury to win. Sure.
Yeah, you're on one side.
So I was just like, oh my God, he's got this, and like Fury had to be perfect the whole fight, and Deontay Wilder had to be perfect for that moment, and so after the first rounds, 2-3 rounds, I was like, I just saw Fury. I was like, nah, this boy is there tonight. This boy is the truth.
He was
and
there.
Then
very focused, man.
Everybody gets hit, and that's exactly like when he got hit with that left hook, when he pulled that right hand, and Deontay Wilder came over with that left hook and hit him with that.
Yep.
Luckily, he was going away from that shot and not into it, so he kind of like took some of the impact off, but it did money shot.
It got
money shot, and I was just like, no, but then I was like, he popped up like the Undertaker, dude.
I know.
Like, literally, that's what it reminded me of. Have you seen the memes of those things? Oh my God, yeah, he popped it. That's the first thing. I was like, dude, he came up like the Undertaker.
So fast.
I was like, no, he went through too much in his life mentally, the mentally challenge that he's overcome. Yep. I was like, he's a fight. He's gonna get up, and that did not surprise me that he got up. You know what I mean? I was like, it was a devastating shot, but then we got up. I was like, yes.
Yeah, and he got up quick.
Yes,
it was fast.
It was, and he just kind of like just shook it off. I was like,
he's like, I'm good. I'm like,
shit,
this guy is crazy. But
that's
God
dude, great heavyweight fight. I love what's going on in the heavyweight division in boxing. I mean, there's a lot of going on right now. So it's just in these next couple of years, man, we're gonna see a lot of good things. A lot of good things in the heavyweight division. So it's exciting to see that in boxing. So
for sure, man, more to come.
Yeah, for sure,
dude.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Love you. Good seeing you, man.
You too, man. It was good being here, and this won't be the last time.
No.
We'll get you back on.
Definitely not.
All right, man. Thank you.
Salute.